The fourth Sunday of Advent tells of Mary's visit to Elizabeth after receiving the annunciation from the angel. The Virgin does not stay at home, thinking over what has happened and considering the problems and challenges it entails. As 13-year-old girl, she did not know what to do with this news, with the culture of that age. She did not understand, but this is important. Surprisingly, the first thing she did is to think of someone in need. Instead of being absorbed in her own problems, she thinks about someone in need. Instead of being absorbed in his problems, even the privilege of being a mother, or the entitlement that she can have. No. She thinks about Elizabeth, her relative, who was advanced in years and with child. We are in the last week of our Advent journey. Let us be guided by the two verbs, to arise and to go in haste. These are the two movements that Mary made, and she also invites us all to make as Christmas approaches. First, arise. After the angel's annunciation, a difficult period, of course, loomed over in the head and the hearts of Mary. Her unexpected pregnancy exposed her to misunderstanding, definitely, and even severe punishment, which include stoning in that culture, in that time. Let us imagine how many concern and worry she had. Nevertheless, she did not become discouraged. She was not disheartened, but she arose without letting herself be daunted by discomforts of the journey. A long road, kilometers after kilometers of walk, or even with a donkey probably, because there was no bus, no train, or in the modern time, Uber, right, to bring you there. She went out to help and to share her joy. She did not focus on her problems, but on God. She did not think about who to ask for help, but to whom to bring help. She's always thinking about others. That is Mary, our mother. Always thinking of the needs of others. We could see that even later on in the gospel, she would do the same in the wedding of Cana, right? When she realized that there is no more wine. It is a problem for those people. But she thinks about this and tries to find solutions. Mary always thinks about others. And also, she's also thinking about us. So let us learn in this way of reacting from Our Lady to arise, especially when difficulties threatens to crush us, to arise as not to be bogged down by problems, sinking into self-pity or falling into sadness that paralyze us, probably depression, right? But the question is, why should I get up? Her thinking is this: because God is great and always ready to lift us up again if we reach out to Him. So let us cast to Him all our problems, negative thoughts, fears, anxieties that blocks every impulse and prevents us from moving forward. And then let us do as Mary did. Let us look around and look for someone to whom we can be of help. Is there an elderly person I know to whom I can give a little help or company? I try that, of course, with my brother priests who are already aged. And they appreciate a lot, thinking that I will be also many years to come in their place. But really, to be more grateful in my attitude, to be able to see the needs of others rather than mine. How can I help? I get up, even in my own problems, And I can still help, even with my own problems. Because by helping others, we help ourselves rise up again from difficulties. Being more aware that there are more people suffering than my self-focused problem. It helps me forget my own by giving what I can when I can. Second is this. She go in haste. Mary set out and traveled to the hill country in haste to visit Elizabeth. This is perhaps the world's first official Christmas rush. But it was not a rush to buy gifts or things. It was Mary's intense joy. Upon hearing the angel's news that her old cousin and barren cousin Elizabeth was 6 months pregnant through God's grace. Who cannot be amazed with that? She forgot her own condition, jumped into the joy because of that great news that miracle is happening in her life. I want to be part of that too, right? But if you focus on your own problems, then you will not see that kind of perspective. Her haste was more about her internal disposition of great faith and joy in God, who does wondrous things to His people. I can see that also happening here in each one of you. If I focus on what God is doing in your life, be interested in that and be joyful about, rather than I'm focusing on my own problems, I will just be crushed with it. And so, Mary was in a hurry because he had a deep conviction that part of God's plan for her and Jesus was also part of the divine plan for Elizabeth and John. They were connected. And so can also we are connected of what God is doing in our life. Amazingly, Mary wanted to experience this great divine plan of God right away. So that's why she went. Amazing too, that the first person to recognize Jesus was the unborn child in Elizabeth's womb, who's John. Going in haste doesn't mean to proceed with agitation in a hurried manner. No, it does not mean this way. Instead, it means conducting our days with a joyful step, looking ahead with confidence, without dragging our feet as a slave to complaints, because these complaints ruin so many lives. Because one starts complaining and complaining, the life is being drained away. Complaints leads you always to look on someone else to judge. On her way to Elizabeth's house, Mary proceeds with quick step of one of whose heart and life are full of God and full of joy. Your gratitude for God's blessing of what you have received should propel you to see the needs of others. And so that's why in her Magnificat, she expressed her praise and gratitude to God. Not only she was appreciative of the blessing she received, but her gratefulness moved her to share her life and being to others. In thanking God for the great news that she received, Mary went to her cousin Elizabeth to be of service to her. In short, her gratitude led her to help and serve others. This must also be the way we should respond in our life. Our gratitude for the blessing and the graces of God has bestowed on us must inspire us to become more helpful and kind to our neighbors. Being here with your family, whatever health condition you have, or your achievement, and then going out already cursing other people, that's not good. The goodness should bring you to service and kindness. Bishop David William Antonio said this beautifully. Listen. When gratitude becomes our basic attitude towards life, we become more appreciative and more contented with what we have, especially the opportunity to do ministry in God's name. And I believe that's the disposition also of our volunteers here. They are so grateful and able to give something, and they volunteered. And it's an invitation for all of us that you have more. God has blessed you so much. Let's continue on. Gratitude allows our inner eye to receive that every grace or blessing comes to us is a gift to be shared. So we are inspired to imitate God's gracious action towards others. And so acknowledging God's acting benevolently towards us should move us to act lovingly towards others. And now you see why Mary went in haste to visit Elizabeth. The great news moved her to share and to be part of what is happening also in their life. So let us think of those things that we are blessed with so much more than we are worthy of receiving it. Let us think of those extra blessings we have received, those that we have an abundance of, because it is actually the way of God blessing you as a way of God of using you as an instrument to bring His blessings to other people too. May our life then be permeated by the spirit of gratitude and praise, generosity, service, love, and gratitude. This visitation reminds us to work anew on our families, on our other relationship in this community. Be more generous because God has blessed you tremendously. Let the source of your joy become the way you love other people. I always say, my vocation to the priesthood is my generous response to God who loved me immensely. I have no other reason to say no, because there are so many reasons that I should not be ordained as a priest. But there's only one reason why I was ordained, because of the immense love of God. And so, this is the very reason why I try to give my best generously. Let us be inspired by Mary in her visit to Elizabeth. Think of those people who are Elizabeth. And the best question is, can I become Mary to those Elizabeth? Amen.